Greetings, I'm Mark with Unlimited Story, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. If that's interesting to you, consider subscribing or at least checking out our website, unlimited-story.com. In this video, I'm going to be covering The Tomorrow War, which was on Amazon Prime, and it is... I loved it. No joke, I loved it. So if you want to hear about how essentially great it is, or I think it is, and then, go over some of the plot holes and character stuff, just sit tight because that's exactly what's going to be happening right now. And welcome back. So I'm going to be covering The Tomorrow War, which was on Amazon Prime, and I absolutely loved it. So here we go. What are my initial thoughts? What a freaking bloodbath. There are, and right out of the gate, that is the kind of movie I like. Not just like gore and blood and all that stuff, but a lot of action, a lot happening, not a lot of downtime. Okay? Yes, there was downtime. I mean, it wasn't much, but they put in the essentials. Like everything they put in, I was like, yeah, that seems like it's gonna be coming up. Like the part with Martin and the volcano, I was like, they didn't just throw that in. There's got to be a reason. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. The whole time I was just like, man, I can't wait to see what's happening next. Not everything made a ton of sense. Like don't get me wrong, some stuff I was just like, okay. Like once you start thinking about it, like this doesn't really work. But a surface level, just watching it is incredibly enjoyable. Yeah, I'd actually gonna say I'm putting it on my top tier of movies I like, which my types of movies are 300, Ninja Assassin, Pacific Rim. And don't get me wrong, I realize there's tons of problems with Pacific Rim, but I like watching it. So those kinds of movies, it's right up there. And I just, again, I thought it was really enjoyable. And by the end, I was just like, wow, I was very satisfied. So that leads me into my favorite part, which was the ending. Just this, I couldn't believe it. Like plot twists heighten the story, right? Every time something happens, I just felt like the stakes kept going higher, and I was blown away. Yeah, the end was awesome. That fight with the female, I call her the queen maybe, but whatever it is, like she just kept taking the hits and wasn't dying, and I'm just sitting there like, how is she not dead? And I wasn't upset about it. I was just like, well, what are you gonna do next? I swore that she was toast as soon as that thing got injected in her arm, but then I was like, oh, they only injected in the arm. But as soon as she like rips her arm off or bites it off, I was like, oh my god. And then just the way like Chris Pratt's face just like had that like that deadpan look. Just it was great. It was great. I was very, very pleased. That was an amazing scene too with him and his dad. So many great parallels. It was awesome. What is my least favorite part? Well, again, I love the movie, but there was one part where I was just like, yeah, give me a break. I realized why. So, and that was because, Dan, the main character, protagonist, went to the government guy and it's like, yo, we found the problem. We did all the work for you. Literally just send any forces down there and we can just wipe this out before it's an issue. And they're like, nah, we got problems. It's in Russia. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so they got to go down there and do it themselves. So of course, it's the amount. There's got to be a challenge, right? So the challenge is determined by how difficult it is. So they had to make a small team so the challenge would be hard. Because if they went in with like 10,000 men and just or nuked it or whatever, it'd be like, oh, that wouldn't be very interesting. So because they only went in there with like 10 people or whatever, all of a sudden it became a very intense and action-filled thing. So I get it. I was like, okay, if that's gonna be your reason, just okay, as long as you do something cool. Which they did, so I was at least happy there. Is there anything unclear or confusing? If they needed the lab so bad, why are they bombing it? Yeah, it's overrun with creatures, but if that lab is so important, then why are you bombing it? Just why are they bombing? And she's like, I can't stop them. Be like, what? You can't just call them? They have radio communication. Like, I swear they're talking to you on your radio. You can't just tell them not to. And then of course they go in there and they're like, okay, everyone grab hard drives, get all this stuff. There are no survivors. Like legitimately, they're like 4 or 5, maybe 6 people out of like that hangar full. I mean, maybe 20 made it to the science lab, but I'm just saying, like, he got those vials and that was it. Which might I add, she asked for 12. He got like, what was it, 15? I think there was 4, maybe it was like 4x5, so that's 20. So whatever the case, he just grabbed a bunch of vials. Who knows if that was right, but he got them. So just, it was confusing. They wanted to save the lab people. They didn't. I don't know. Oh, and also, let's not forget the toxin. Okay, so they have this toxin that works really great on the males, okay? But the female, it does a number on her, but she can counteract it. Okay. How come they're not using it? Because they just don't want to produce it? Like, if they're, honestly, okay, they figured out the toxin for the male. I don't know when, let's say it was recently. Why didn't they just ship that information to the past so they can just start cranking this stuff out? So, because obviously the men are the problem. Like, there's just zillions of them, right? So why aren't you just spreading that stuff around like you're crop dusting, and at least you got something, right? At least you got something coated in your bullets. Who knows, but fine. What are my thoughts on the main character? Dan Forrester, really simple character. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to say that as a bad thing, because I write simple characters, like very simple, tried and true, good guy, basically, to and fro. And with this type of plot, that actually makes a ton of sense. And as I get into the supporting characters, it makes sense too, because there is no reason to not be. Like, okay, we as a human race are banding together to defeat evil aliens that will eat us. There is no point of betraying them, trying to do something where you're going to get some type of benefit. Literally, like, everyone just has to work together. So I was really happy that no one was like betraying and everyone was actually working together. So that really works for the plot. It made a lot of sense to me, which makes me happy, because I don't really care for that type of betrayal. Sometimes it makes sense, but in this situation, like, if there would have been betrayal, I'd just been like, why? It doesn't make any sense. So again, main character, real just, dad mode, has a family, doing the best he can, doing all the right dad kind of stuff. So very good, just pretty clean cut. And then as we move on to the assisting actors, or supporting actors, sorry, I just thought they all had like little miniature arcs. So don't get me wrong, not all of them were much or noticeable, but each one of them got a little bit of something, right? Like, okay, dude with the claw, he has his cancer, so he's, I'm gonna die my way. Cool. Okay. And his buddy, the tech guy that I can't remember the name of, he hid. We never got to see it, but he showed up. The dad, he got his redemption. Just everyone got a little something, right? There was at least something, especially with his daughter. She got to see her dad again, and that was really heartwarming. So yes, it wasn't major. If you're watching this for world building, if you're watching it for in-depth story, if you're watching it for character building, like anything like that, this is not that movie. If you're watching it to watch a ton of aliens kill people, and a lot of people die too, and to see like something that's kind of neat with action, well, this is a good movie then. So for what they had and the time they had, I actually thought they did a very good and efficient use of their time. Again, there was nothing that I felt was left kind of just hanging on the side. Everything was put in there, and it seemed to be very useful and made pretty good sense. Is there anything else I wanted out of this movie? Yes, a thorough breakdown of the anatomy of the white spikes. And that is simply just me being greedy, because I think they're incredible. Like, I'm looking at their anatomy, and they are basically a velociraptor with an extra set of arms, and those males have a set of arms that are basically like praying mantis arms. They are just, and if you've ever seen a praying mantis like in action, they are absolutely terrifying. Like, they are, whoever designed them, incredible job. I hope they watched this video. Not that I would worship the ground you're on, but the design work for the white spikes was incredible. Not only were they absolutely terrifying creatures, but the way they moved, how they interacted, how efficient of hunters they are is just, it's great. And then the difference between the male and the female was really interesting too. There weren't significant differences, but they were noticeable, and it was really cool. So if I had to basically say anything, I would have loved to just have a more thorough breakdown of the white spikes. But in the movie, they basically said like, hey, these things are terrifying. And man, like they are terrifying. Like, don't get me wrong, this movie didn't scare me. I slept fine the night after. But man, if I ever saw those things in real life, I don't know what I'd do. Like, I'm trying to understand even what type of creature it is. Because again, it looks like it's got the body structure of a velociraptor. It's kind of got this head that looks like one of the creatures I've made, or its head just kind of like opens up like an ungodly large amount. And just the fact that they pretty much seem to, not that they're brainless, but they are so just bloodlusty. It's they're phenomenal. So they are great creatures. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but that's me. What do I expect to happen next? Well, first off, I want to state that I actually thought this was going to be a series, so I was just planning on watching it weekly and just doing releases on this like I do my other videos, but it turned out it was a movie, so oops. But whatever the case, here's what I expect to happen next. If this movie got good reviews and made money, they'll make a sequel. That's what I expect to happen. If it does, I am definitely watching it. I mean, I already basically tell all my guy friends, like, this movie's great. If you want to watch a bunch of alien killing, this is, you know, if you like Starship Troopers, this is it. It's just a little bit more serious, or, you know, anything where you're killing a ton of aliens. This is, yeah, like somebody mentioned that it was like Independence Day kind of, and I was like, I mean, not really. It's, yes, those are a little bit smarter and there's some technical stuff, but I definitely felt like in this movie is way more like humans are desperate to survive. Like, they are just dropping like flies. So anyway, if this movie made good money, gets good reviews, which the reviews are very good, by the way. I've read all, I don't want to say all of them, but the negative reviews are kind of minor stuff, and overall people who like this type of movie really enjoyed it like me. So how much did I enjoy this? I mean, clearly 10. Like, I must be giving out 10s this week, because last video I also gave it a 10, but whatever the case, I didn't feel like anything was lacking. They actually did a pretty good job explaining how time worked, which I was kind of surprised. I thought this was going to be really lacking on some like key, like, hey, why does this work? Why doesn't, and like, because these guys are scientists, they would ask these questions, and they actually did a good job. Like, hey, why is it this way? And they explain like, oh, we can only go back in time. Oh, all right, well, I guess that makes sense then. Or just all that kind of stuff. Just, I was really pleased that they gave answers and they kept it really short, because instead of also like with the going back to the time travel, like instead of asking more questions, they're like, hey, listen guys, we made this out of, was it bubble gum and duct tape or chicken wire, something like that. And they're like, we're lucky it even works, and we should only really be sending, you know, like rats out, but because we're dying, we're gonna do this. So I thought it was really great. They explain stuff well enough that, you know, if you want to pick it apart, you're not going to be satisfied. But if you're just going to accept it for what it is, you know, it's pretty satisfying. Like, there's no surface level holes. How about that? How eager am I to watch the next one? Well, again, this isn't a series, so this really doesn't qualify. But I'll tell you what, if they make a sequel of this, I'm definitely watching it. Like, I mean, and not saying that there is going to be a sequel, because, you know, apparently you wiped it out, but all you got to do is say, hey, one more queen survived, or maybe another ship with whatever those things are that were piloting it, you know, they come by and they're like, oh, hey, our drop ship of creatures didn't knock people out thousands of years ago. Maybe we got to do it again. I mean, they got a lot of options, so I'll just say it was good, and if they're going to keep making it, I'm going to keep watching it. Is there anything else I want to add? Yes, the white spikes are amazing. I already know I talked about them enough, but there's just a few more things that I just feel like I really want to talk about. The tentacles that shoot the little, I shouldn't say little, but the actual white spike. Those things they're genius. Like, they gave out all like the best possible perks, and I already did a little bit of research about how they came up with them. You know, they're mix matching creatures, you know, like they have wolf tactics, but they're kind of like insects because they have a queen that, you know, is like a brood mother kind of thing. You know, they have projectiles, they can move in every direction. You know, when I saw them coming down the staircase, I was like, geez. And the fact that They even went through the trouble, and I'm glad they did. They actually explained their weaknesses and their strengths. Like, I was just very, very impressed overall with the anatomy and how they were built and how they overall were explained. So just awesome. Just real simple, real clean cut. I just was, again, in the end, I was pleased. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, consider subscribing or at least watch another one of my videos that YouTube recommends. Peace.